Hello and welcome back to the Football Terrace. I hope you are well. Good morning. Hit the like and share button. Check out Manscaped, our title sponsors, for your 20% discount off of the best male grooming products in the world. Sponsor's still going well. So make sure you do it. We're here to talk Frank Lampard. Really, in the last 12 hours, I've seen so much frustration, so much anger, so much annoyance from a percentage of Chelsea fans. And I do think they need a dose of reality. I do think they need that injection, bruv. They need the vaccine. They need the vaccine, and they need to understand why Frank Lampard has been sacked. And there's two elements to this. And, we're going to go through the shocking truth. And I say the shocking truth because for some people, their heads are buried so far up their backside, it is unbelievable. The same people celebrating for the last 17 years, 18 years since Roman's been here, that have celebrated the 5 Premier League titles, the Champions League, the umpteen League Cups and FA Cups, the Europa Leagues. The same people celebrating this, the ruthlessness, the callous behaviors in the past, by the way, the winning behaviors in the past, are now bemoaning it because someone they love is in trouble. Instead of having a bit of ownership, instead of coming out and understanding that this is the way your football club is and behaves, first and foremost, this is Chelsea. And also looking at some of the problems that were partly created by Lampard and that dressing room and situation being in an untenable way. We have a super chat here before we go any further to one of the players, and I quote, "Don't worry, this Lampard will be over in a few weeks." Well, I think we all saw that coming. But there's a number, and I hear that, bro, and thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. But you know what? There's a few other things that I want to talk about as well here, because there's some points here that have been picked up in a number of publications that I want to go through. And these are some of the reasons that Frank Lampard lost his job. It says here that Frank Lampard's relationship with the influential director, Marina, had deteriorated massively. One of the biggest reasons for this is Lampard's desire to sign Declan Rice and the pushing to sign Declan Rice. They told him no on a number of occasions, but he kept on pushing, and he frustrated people. That's a Lampard issue. The Petr Cech got drafted in on a number of occasions to talk to the agents and representatives of the new signings, because a lot of the new signings were frustrated that they were being played out of position, that they were not being given ample opportunity. And that for me, of course, that's going to, infuriate your board. You just spent £250 million on players. You're playing them out of position. You're infuriating them. You're infuriating their representatives. On top of that, there were some of the academy players you gave lots of game time to, and there were others who Lampard gave no game time to, and by all accounts, didn't address why. Didn't sit down with Callum Hudson-Odoi and say why you're not getting opportunities. Just ignored him. There are reports that Lampard ignored some players that were out of first team action for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Zero communication. We've been reading it's reported that Lampard would have walked out on the job months ago if it wasn't his dream job of managing Chelsea. That just shows you how fractious, how toxic, how horrible the relationship had become. And it's not all going to be down to Frank Lampard, but he is the manager. Holding that dressing room together is his job. It's actually the most important job of a manager, is holding that dressing room together. You don't even need to be a great coach. You can hire a great coach to coach the team. You need to be impeccable with your man management, and you need to have a brilliant ability of bringing people together. And Frank Lampard did not do it. Did not do it. There are other things I've read as well. It's just some players complained about the lack of tactical instructions, and they didn't get spoken to for months. Imagine that. Imagine your manager not talking to you for months. There's only 23 of you. It ain't like he's the CEO of Marks and Spencer's and didn't quite manage to speak to their 80,000 employees in 1 year. 23 playing staff. 23! And man ain't talking to him. The shocking truth is, Frank Lampard took on his dream job too early. The shocking truth is he took on his dream job too early and did a bad job. The shocking truth is he took on his dream job early and was doing a bad job at the most ruthless club in England. At a club in England that sacked a legend before. It sacked Roberto Di Matteo 5-6 months after he won an FA Cup and Champions League double. They sacked after a few months Carlo Ancelotti, the only manager in Chelsea's history to win them the double, the Premier League and FA Cup together. They sacked Jose Mourinho twice, the most successful manager in their history, twice. And suddenly, I'm so annoyed and shocked that Chelsea have sacked Lampard. You fools. You fools. Oh, we've changed. We're going to create an identity. We're going to create a culture. We're going to use the youth. Shut up. Plebs. Plebheads, bruv. You're plebs. You got bought into this PR hipster BS that was pushed by a small selection of loud and popular Chelsea fans. It was never on the... Where did you see Roman say this, bruv? Where did you see Roman come out and say we're going down a new avenue? No. Roman gave Lampard an opportunity. Do you know what? It didn't really bother me until last night. I'm sitting there watching all this shit. So you guys are mad. You're mad. Denial curve 101, bruv. You spouted the bullshit. We're going to be like traditional Man United. 4 or 5 years, grow a team, use the youth, buy young, change superstars. Lampard's going to be our 30. Fuck off. Idiots, bruv. Idiots. Absolute idiots. And now some people think it's racial, bruv. Some people think it's racial. He lost a job because he's English or white. No! Fuck my boots. Lost a job because he's English or what? Can these people hear themselves? Can these people hear themselves? Lost a job because he's white and British. My God, the fragile nature of people is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to take a sip of my tea, though. It's a madness. Imagine it. He lost his job because he's English. Bruv, these men turning into Katie Hopkins overnight. It's a madness. The shocking truth is why Lampard, and we can go, there's all sorts of things. Chelsea have been talking to multiple managers for a long time. They tried to sound out Nagelsmann months ago. They tried to single out, speak to Ralph Ragnick to come in and cover. They were unhappy with him for a long time. And I'm seeing newspapers as well, bruv. I'm seeing newspapers come out and say Lampard was taken for a ride. They never really wanted him as manager. This has all been a setup. It's been a bit of a coup. We'll bring him in to, almost like a caretaker manager. We'll build a squad in this German Bundesliga image, and then we'll just sack Lampard off. No. If Lampard was getting a tune out of this team, they wouldn't have sacked him. And if you're sitting there as Lampard and they're buying, we bought 7 players. I didn't want any of them. They're all Bundesligas. Germans are coming. The Germans are here. Leave then. Fools, bro. I'm sorry. It annoys me. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's a madness. We're going to open up the lines for you guys to come on very soon, have your say this morning. Smash that like and share button, people. But as I say, the shocking truth is this. Lampard lost the dressing room. He mistreated young players. He mistreated the new boys coming in. You got to think new boys, young boys like Kai Havertz, coming to the Premier League, 20-odd years of age. I don't actually know, 21, 22, maybe 20. A baby to me anyway. He literally is younger than my youngest brother, right? He's a baby. Moving countries, middle of a pandemic. You can't get familiar with your surroundings when you're stuck in your house. I know people say, oh, but he got a nice house, he's rich. Don't matter about the wealth when it comes to your mental stability, bruv. Don't matter at all. Otherwise, you'd never see the rich and famous kill themselves, would you? Jesus Christ, why are people so naive and dumb, bruv? I'm so angry. I didn't even think I was angry this morning. Then I started talking. And it's all coming out. But listen, he messed up. Bad man manager, mistreated players, misspent money, playing individuals out of position, ignoring people. Honestly, Frank Lampard released his inner Jose Mourinho and it bit him in the arse. And now people, oh no, it's because he's white. It's because he's white. It's because he's a white man. The white man's being oppressed. The white man's being oppressed. Are you joking, bro? Fuck me. Why is white British? Fuck off. Fuck off. I'll say it with my chest, bruv. Shut your cake hole. Because he's white and British. The worst return of points. The worst points per game ratio of any Chelsea manager in the Roman era. Dickheads. Mad. White people being oppressed in England. A white millionaire, legendary footballer earning millions of pounds a year is oppressed. Say it out loud. Fucking hell. What are we going to get next? Tommy Robinson chanting. This is mad. Oh, my God. Oh. Saying, one of my members here says, Pep said it best in a conference today regarding Lampard. Says people talk about projects and ideas. They don't exist. You have to win or you'll be replaced. Absolutely. Well, there are projects and ideas, but there has to be growth within them. If a company comes to me, as they've done in the past, and says, Terry, we want you to come in and run a sales department, run an operation within the organization. I've accepted these challenges. I have a plan. I look at where they are, what the problems they have, where they want to get to, and I put a plan together of how to attain that, how to grow, move them forward, and so I'm very keen on stewardship. So I want to leave something when I go somewhere. I want to leave it better than when I found it. They let me put my plan in place. They've employed me, but if my plan doesn't work, doesn't start working, I change it a bit, it doesn't work. We might have agreed that it's a 3-year process to go from where we are to where we want to be. But if 18 months in, we're crashing and burning, they will sack me. Sack me. If I ain't delivering. You're talking about Roman, bruv. Roman. Ruthless, bruv. Someone says, Terry, this is cringe. You're a grown man. Don't watch then. My word. Ahmed here says Kai had corona and is settling into a new league, and he is now getting abuse. It's ridiculous the abuse these players are getting. It really, really is. It really is. And you'll see these certain sets of fans really turn on these players now. And they'll do it either way. They don't perform for Tuchel. It will be, it's not Lampard's fault they can't perform. If they start performing for Tuchel, it will be they threw Lampard under a bus. You already know what's going to be said. Man like Lincoln here says, yeah, backing me. My guy Lincoln. United at the wheel here. Football Terrace member says, tell him, my guy. Absolutely. Ahmed, another member, says, no sympathy for Lampard. He knew what he was getting himself into. Do you know what? I've got, for Lampard, I've got an area of sympathy. Like, fair play. Like, in the sense of he tried and it didn't work. Fair play. Wipe your mouth, move on. The anger I'm seeing from people today. I mean, I've seen a few pundits like, oh, you know, not the white. They said the English managers don't get opportunities at the biggest clubs. Well, in the last few years, there've been a good few British. I don't care about English. I'm not about British here. There's been off the top of my head, 3 British managers have been given opportunities to manage top Premier League clubs. Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool, David Moyes at Manchester United, and Frank Lampard at Chelsea. Now, what we have a tendency to do in this country is throw all non-British managers into the same pot and say foreign. But that's a bit stupid. That's a bit stupid because, how do I put this? How many French managers have been managing the top 6 clubs in the last 10 years? Wenger? So 1. Is Unai Emery French? No, he's Spanish. So how many Frenchies? 1. How many Spanish? How many Portuguese? How many German? How many Austrian? How many? I can't think. How many Dutch? Like, when you break it down, how many? And by the way, one of the top 6 clubs was managed by a Brit for 25 years. How many of these clubs? Don't throw every European or South American or African or North American manager into the same pot. Say, then break it down to the country they're from. How many? Like, we could sit here and do the math. You know, like, Spurs are predominantly in that time had an Argentinian, right? And now they've gone to a Portuguese, but the same Portuguese manager that was also at Chelsea and Man United in that time frame. So it's still the same Portuguese guy. It ain't like we've had 3 or 4 different Portuguese guys. Like, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. I'm going to open up the lines in a minute. You got to go to our Discord server, people. You got to go to the... No, this video can't be real. Is this Craig? I know this guy. Is this real? I've got to play this video. This is surely not real. This is surely not real. This is surely not real. Let me share the screen. Oh, no. Please. Please.
A fucking agenda against fucking Frank Lampard, Mason Mount, and many other people. And I'll be honest with you, I hate to say this, but I partially think it's fucking racial. And
what?
I do not understand that at all. A white British manager, fucking proud to be a white fucking British manager.
Oh, proud to be. He threw the... No!
In charge of his fucking team because he hasn't got Conte ball or Sarri ball. He hasn't got that fucking branding behind him. Apparently he's shit. Fuck off. Fuck off. We've done incredibly well with a transfer ban, with the fucking youth players that we've had to fucking play, and fucking Frank Lampard deserves some fucking respect.
I'm a little confused by one thing. He says it was racial, but then names 2 other white managers. Oh, Craig. Is it Craig his name is? Bro, no. See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So I just got said that now. I got a little notification, got linked. That's just a madness, bruv. It's just an absolute madness. It's an absolute madness. I can't even... Come on, man. Like, do people really think that? I'm going to open up the lines now for you to come on and all have your say. Go to the Discord server now. I'm going to share the link on the general chat page, as I always do. I want to hear from some of you, man, this morning, though, because this is a madness. Frank Lampard got sacked because he's English. Because he's white, eh? Oh, can you imagine that? Be the first white Englishman to lose his job for being a white Englishman in the history of the world. Fuck. No, it's a madness, bruv. It's a legit madness. I get people are angry, upset, but no way that people believe this. Man, my guy, man, like Kai is here. Kai, can you believe what we're hearing?
Hey man, I actually had a lot of debates with Bacon Cheeks here. He's a bit insane, man. He's overly in love, has a lot of estrogen in him, forgetting the fact that the reality of the matter is Lampard has the least amount of point tally of any other manager before. See, he wasn't sacked because he's white. He was sacked because he's shit. Like, that's the reality, and they have to accept it.
And that's it. Do you know what? That's the bit I'm saying. If he had a 75% win ratio, if he won the FA Cup and was sitting top of the league, and then they just sacked him,
yeah,
I wouldn't say it would still be because of his nationality, but I'd certainly say you've got a reason to be angry. He's doing a bad job. And why are they ignoring the elephant in the room, which is the dressing room was gone. It went away from tactics, and it went away from it being about being a Chelsea man and wanting a German manager to unlock Havard. No, all this is that is cannon fodder. He lost the dressing room. Like, you're not. It's mad.
You know what's funny? They want just the locker room to burn as long as Lampard is in charge. Doesn't matter if the locker room burns, if we are in relegation, as long as we have a Chelsea man, it's fine. Doesn't matter that people are make a living out of the football club. There is revenues, there's goals to reach, achievements, there's targets. Doesn't matter as long as we have a Chelsea man in charge. Rory said it perfectly. He said, "Chelsea isn't romantic." If you want a romance, go watch a soap opera, man. that's not gonna happen in 21st century football, man. That doesn't work like that.
And bro, do you know what? I've kind of bantered Chelsea for years, saying you've got all this success. Old Trafford, we sing a song like "Hollow, Hollow, Hollow." Chelsea's success is hollow, and we banter you with it, right? Because you did win the lottery, and it's yielded your success and everything else. But I've never really heard a set of Chelsea fans moan about it not being romantic, not being done in a stereotypical way until now. Like the way, for years, I used to sit there and think, when are the Chelsea fans going to turn? I've seen legendary players be mistreated. I've seen Ancelotti. I've seen Ancelotti and Jose Mourinho. You could argue Di Matteo because of what he won, are the most successful managers in the history of your club, and they were flicked away like a man who just picked his nose and was flicking a bogey away. Like, see you later, I'm done with you now. And Chelsea fans just took it and they're like, okay, cool. What are we moving on to next? Because it's Lampard suddenly. They want to grow a backbone and have some morality. For me, it stinks. It absolutely stinks. All of a sudden, you want to be romantic. You want to be run with the utmost integrity. Wherever before, like no one cared. No one cared when AVB or Big Phil was being abused. It's an absolute.
Terry, if you saw the amount of hate Sarri got last season, 2 seasons ago, yes, you would see the hypocrisy in these people talking about, oh, Chelsea changing manager. As soon as it hits somebody in your own yard, then that's where you have the issue, and that's hypocrisy. That's hypocritical.
It's a madness. David is here. David, why have you not been backing this white manager? What's wrong with you, David?
No, what the best thing
David's
about
a racist
is that it's because he's white, and then he goes, yeah, but when Conte and Sarri, and I went, hold on, but they're both white as well, so it's not racist. Like, again, none of us would be complaining if he had won the FA Cup, if he'd been doing. I didn't even really mind about the FA Cup because I was like, okay, at least go forward next year, at least progress. But he's been going backwards. He has a better squad. He's been going backwards. I mean, when you read the reasons man got sacked, constant asking for Declan Rice for 60 mil and James Tarkowski from Burnley for 50 mil. Of course, Marina's going to be annoyed with you because Marina's pulled out Timo Werner for 40 mil and Kai Havertz, generational talent, for 70 mil. And you're asking for James Tarkowski for Burnley for more money than Timo Werner. Of course, he's like, this is my job, not yours. What are you doing?
Yeah, bro. It's become a madness, brother. And like I was saying, I know this, and I was saying earlier, what's really getting to me is this whole why don't British managers get a chance? We know that 3 British managers have managed top clubs in the last few years, right? And then I started going through, it was the last 10 years, right? So since 2011, right? So Chelsea have had, there's been they've had 2 Portuguese, they've had 3 and they've had 3 Italian, right? So there's 3 Italian, 2 Portuguese, 1 Spanish as in permanent managers, right? So okay, you could argue that. You look at so there probably has been. You'll probably find a slightly higher weight when it comes to maybe Italian managers in the league, but it isn't overtly weighed. Do you get what I mean? Like there's been 3 British managers managed top 6 clubs in that time. It isn't like we've had like 10 Italians and 10 Portuguese. It's in and around the same numbers, 3 to 4 from each country. Does that make sense? But we don't look at it like that because what we do in this country is let's put all foreigners together. Like Italians and Spanish are the same thing.
Did you see what Harry Redknapp said?
Harry Red.
No, what did he say?
he was like, how are we sure that Thomas Tuchel's a better manager than Frank Lampard? And I was there like, you are taking the bit. I understand they're related.
It's hilarious.
It's different. It's different. Like when I saw Jamie Redknapp talking about and Harry Redknapp, it's different because they're related, so I expect them to back it. But when you see like actual pundits sit there like, "Oh, Thomas Tuchel's not that good," or "Oh, Lampard deserves more time," I'm like, but you're all saying he deserves more time, but based on what? All of your base is hope, and Abramovich don't operate on hope.
Hope and feeling.
He operates on what he knows you either can do or what you have done for him. If you're not providing that, you're going. It's quite simple. It's if anything, it'd be an even bigger problem if he was to treated every single manager differently to Lampard, because then he wouldn't be sticking to his own principles.
Rob, the whole thing is an absolute clusterfuck. The whole thing is a clusterfuck. The whole thing is mad. Chucky's with us now as well. Chucky's sitting there.
Morning. What are you not saying? You good?
Yeah, and man's had his morning workout. That David T.
I never got there yet, man. Yo, all I want to say is, first of all, what do people expect? You don't reward failure. That's the first step. You don't reward failure. Secondly, there's so many people out there who just want to spin an agenda. It seems like some kind of backlash from the people left over who are supporting Donald Trump, who need something new to do, so they just jump on anything that's going on. What is wrong with people? How can you say he got sacked because he's white? That makes no sense at all. And any media outlet who's backing this thing, you need to go get your head checked. End of the day, man's not being good enough. You buy 11 players, you don't blood them in properly, you don't say the right things. You clearly lost the dressing room, and he almost talks like he's running on vibes, if you understand what I'm saying. The guy looked like he was lost for ideas when he was gone. Like I said already, clearly lost the dressing room. And boy, what do people expect? In any other job, any other walk of life, you can't consistently fail like that and continue to have a job unless you got something to fall back on, like Jurgen Klopp. But he's his turn next. But I know we're talking about Chelsea right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like listen, I hear a lot of what you're saying there, bro. The kind of some of the outrage from some people as well. Like I've had. It tells me a little bit more about them underlying. And I'm just sitting there going through this list now of top 6 managers in the last 10 years, right? And where they're kind of from, right? So actually there's an extra Brit. So there's 4 Brits because I forgot Roy Hodgson in the last 10 years managed a top 6 team as well, right? So far we're sitting there and we're on and Kenny Dalglish. That's 5. We're on 5 Brits right now that have managed, and then we've got our first German, right? So I want to go through this. So far we're on 5 Brits off the top of my head, right? I've added a German in there because of Jurgen Klopp. I'm now looking at City, and City in the last 10 years their manager been Man City, so it's another Italian. So on to 4 Italians.
Mark Hughes.
That was more than 10 years ago. But if we were going to go longer, we'd have another one. But we'll keep it at 10 years. So we've got 1 Chilean in there as well. We've got another Spanish in Pep, and I've already and that's that. We then move on to Tottenham in this time period. So, of course, with Tottenham, we know that. Why is it that way around? Where's these listed managers here? This is weird.
Tim Sherwood.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about there. Here we go. I've got it here. So, in the last 10 years, they had Harry Redknapp was there, so that puts it up to 6. Tim Sherwood was there, that puts it up to 7. Right? Maurizio was there, that's 1 Argentinian, and now they've got a Portuguese. I can't tick him twice, though, because he's on Man United's list already. So, am I missing another top team here? Arsenal, they had a French guy in Wenger. Unai Emery, Spanish.
And Arteta Spanish.
And Arteta Spanish. Okay, so in the last 10 years, across top 6 Premier League teams, we've had 7 British managers, 4 Italian, 1 French, 3 Spanish, 2 Portuguese, 1 Argentinian, 1 German, 1 Chilean. But yet, there's a British bias. We've had more British managers manage top 6 clubs than any other nationality, almost put together. But what we do in this country is we have this weird thing where we want to turn around and say that a Chilean and a German and a Spanish gentleman and a Portuguese guy and a French dude are all from the same place. Where's that place? They're from foreign. Knobs. Like, I'm sorry to do this. I sit here and things like this baffle me, right? Like, I don't give a damn whether my manager is British or not. Like, of course, I care more about Ollie. I care more about Ollie than a British manager getting a job because Ollie's a club legend, but I still want him to win and keep things right. I guarantee you, like, I've even heard some people try and say, like, Ollie gets more time because he's practical. I've heard a few people say because he's practically British, where they try and push it in the other direction. I'm like, no, Ollie ain't British either, bruv. Like, you can't throw that one in. But at the end of the day, this narrative that British managers don't get a chance is a lie. It's a lie. It's an absolute cast iron lie.
I've got a question here. I know what some people's answers are. Maybe not you guys necessarily, but I know what some people's answers is going to be. Why do British managers deserve these top jobs based off what? You're going to tell me, yeah, they got to have these jobs and perform well before they can be considered. They got to have the experience at the top levels before they can be considered for top jobs or what have you not. But they get given all sorts of top jobs without any. I don't see where the evidence is that they deserve or the evidence is that they're going to produce in these top jobs. So why are people hammering out for British managers so badly? Is it just because we're in England? Is that it?
Bro, that's what it comes down to. For me, listen, man, if you've seen some of my sales teams that I've put together, when I read someone's CV, their nationality, the only time I check what the nationality is if I have to. We used to have to make sure that people had the right paperwork to be legally able to work, and that was a case of sweet. Look, there's a visa, crack on. For me, it's about your ability, it's about your application, it's about what you do. And as I say, 7 British managers have been in charge of top 6 clubs in the past 10 years, more than any other nationality of individual. The difference is that this. And by the way, when you look at this as well. And you go through a lot of the foreign managers. Pellegrini's been sacked twice in this country, treated no different to a Brit. Most of the Italians have been sacked, treated no differently to a Brit. Like Roman treats every manager the same. If you ain't winning, you're sacked, bro.
Rightly so, though.
And the thing is, you'd very easily could argue that the foreign managers do better jobs. Like you look at the British manager list. It's not like they're like amazing. They're quite bad.
The history of the Premier League. The history of the Premier League.
Yeah, go.
The history of the Premier League. The only manager that balances things out is Alex Ferguson. Take Alex Ferguson out of it, you see quite clearly what. Sorry, people, you might not like it. Foreign managers are better.
They have been, I mean,
he's Scottish, so he's not English, is he?
It is true that they have performed better in the Premier League, barring Sir Alex Ferguson. And of course, I wouldn't mind. And do you know the crazy thing is, the British managers that I do feel should have been given opportunities at bigger clubs. I'd have liked to see Eddie Howe get an opportunity at a bigger club because of his style of football. You know, I would have liked to have seen managers like him, and he's the one that springs to mind right now. I wouldn't mind seeing him given an opportunity at a club because of the way he, the style of football. Okay, it's a little more continental than the sort of traditional British style. And it's like Brendan Rodgers is doing a very good job at Leicester. He's turning Leicester into a top 6 club, and that's great. But when it comes to managing Chelsea, managing City, managing these two especially, it's do or die. There is no, we'll give you 3 years. Someone here says Graham Potter. Yeah, Graham Potter plays good football. And I get that. Graham Potter, for me, is more deserving of the Chelsea job than Lampard was. You've got Steven Gerrard as an example right now, doing bits in Scotland. It doesn't, in my opinion, mean that he's ready for a top job in England. The difference in league is massive. But if he wins 3 or 4 league titles up there with Rangers and then gets an opportunity to manage Liverpool, something is going to be too soon for him. You go, okay, well, he's cut his teeth somewhere. He's won something. Let's see what he can do. Maybe Lampard breaks the trend, you know. And Wayne Rooney's been given an opportunity. What I like seeing is this. I don't I think managers need to be really, really careful. These young managers need to be careful. They need to cut their teeth at lower levels. And I think Lampard, for me, should have done 2 or 3 more years at Derby, learn how to manage, like make his mistakes at a lower level where the pressure ain't there. It's like, Wayne Rooney's learning to be a manager right now at Derby. And do you know what? That's still probably too high a level for him to be starting at, in my opinion. But he was there as a player and they've worked on something and it's great. But at the same time, no one in the media is writing about the results every day because at the end of the day, no one cares. With all due respect to Derby, like no one's really caring about it. But, these young British managers, especially these superstar players, you've got to go down the levels. I'm not saying Ollie's a great manager yet. Who knows what he's going to do in the future. But man cut his teeth, bruv. Like, man cut his teeth. Arteta's been struggling. Lampard was struggling. And it's because they've walked into jobs. Some people say Lampard only got this job so early because he's British. Well, what about Arteta then? Arteta and Lampard's road into management is almost the same. But do you get what I'm saying? It's just a madness for me.
It's not about your colour. It's just about who you know.
Exactly.
He's Harry Redknapp's nephew. Of course, he's going to get a job.
Exactly. We're going to get a few callers on now, people. We've got a super chat first. It says the British managers hardly ever go out to other countries. That's why they're not so good. I think there's an element of truth in that. Like, I think some of these British managers would do well to learn football from other countries as well. I've always said if my son had an opportunity of being in the Man United Academy or the Dortmund Academy, I'd put him in the Dortmund Academy. I just think it'd make him a better footballer. Continental understanding, used to traveling, learn another language. Do you know what I mean? He'll have the English accent over there. Girls will love it. All that stuff. We're going to go to some calls now. We're going to get Blue FT, one of our members and big contributors on the show. Blue, welcome back. What do you want to say, mate?
I honestly think that, again, go back to what you said earlier, Terry. It's the fact that this is a result-driven business, and I've had a long thought for the past 22 hours or so. At the end of the day, like, I'm looking at the bigger picture again. Like, let's say if the new manager coming in, and we're gonna having this like honeymoon period where we go this unbeaten run, and then after that, having a good start to the season, then suddenly drop off form, then again go back to the old cycle again. Though that's my worries in that.
Yeah, look, I think but Chelsea will always end up back in this cycle where if a manager's doing what, like I've said already, if Tuchel comes in today, holding a shirt, and wins you the Premier League, Champions League, and FA Cup this season, but this time next year he's in 8th position and 12 points off top, he gets sacked. The way Roman operates is simple, and it's just high time that Chelsea fans on social media open their eyes and said it. If you are winning, you are safe. If you start losing, you're done. And that is the cycle of Chelsea Football Club. And do you know what? Romance, I don't know. Reality is that's your culture. That is the Roman culture. For nearly 20 years, you've operated in that way. In my opinion, you're the most cutthroat team in the Premier League. It's yielded you results. Whether or not that's working in the modern day era, I've got a podcast this evening. We've got man like Matisse and a few other Chelsea fans and a Tottenham fan on the show. We're going to delve into it in a bit more. We're going to break it down from Chelsea's success before and after the new TV deal money. And does this approach work? That's another question. If you're a Chelsea fan that thinks sacking managers too frequently now is actually more damaging than it is a positive, that's a fair point. But some of the notion about Lampard's the only Chelsea manager to be mistreated, I find mad. Blue, thank you for coming on the show, mate. Really appreciate all your support.
Thank you.
No, thank you, mate. Absolutely massive support. Next up, we're going to have CFCRS. CFCRS, give me your thoughts on Lampard being sacked in the British, bruv.
I think that's just dumb. That's just really dumb. But in regards to the English managers getting the jobs, I find it interesting how, like, in Spain, obviously Pep Guardiola is Spanish and he's one of the most successful Spanish managers there. And Thierry Henry, he got the job in Monaco, and he's French as well. So I find it interesting how, like, the English managers aren't really that good, but the most successful managers in their league come from the same nationality. That also Unai Emery as well. He got the Villarreal job as well. So it's just weird how, like, our managers aren't really good. Obviously, I don't really care about those stuff, innit? Like, I don't care about the nationalities and stuff, but obviously the media does care about. That's why maybe they were really upset because of the dream of Lampard's the first English manager to
I
win the
get,
Prem. But yeah,
bro. Sorry, let me bring down the mic a bit. Sorry, mate. I think this right. I don't know that I'd have to go and research this, but I think the difference is every now and then you get a Pep or a Zidane who can go straight into a top team that's in a good position and win major trophies. But the vast majority have to cut their teeth over a period of time. Lampard, in my opinion, I still think he could go on to be a very, very good manager, but it's too soon for him. It's, you know, at the end of the day, you might have a really talented youth player. So you look at someone like Josh, we'll use Gilmore as an example. Billy Gilmore, really talented. If you just threw him in there now and said, right, you're playing 50 games a season as our leading central midfielder, you could burn him out before he's ready. It's about progression. It's about slowly cutting your teeth and finding your feet at this level. I feel the sort of some managers, and I throw Lampard into this, it's been too much too soon. And that's actually in the end held him back, as opposed, I'm not too sure what David thinks about that, but I just think it came too soon for him.
No, like, what's it? With I find the youth, again, I'm not a big person of the youth. This is one thing that I feel like most Chelsea fans really don't like me for. I think the youth is cool and it's there to be used, of course. But when people are coming out and saying we must depend on Mason and Billy and this, that, and the other, that worries me as a fan, because those players right now are not good enough to be starting week in, week out. Again, I think people will look at Trent and Mbappe and so on and go, all youth players are like that. But no, because they're 2 out of 1,000. And the same thing is with managers. Of course, you want to have a manager like Ferguson and Wenger in a way, because they're there for a long time. They bring you club success and you sort of do get an identity, and that's cool. But those two are an exception to all the other managers who have been sacked after 2 or 3 years. It's not like Chelsea are the only club who sack managers. I was talking to Kendall yesterday, and Kendall said like Newcastle have had like 24 managers in the past 20 odd years. Like it's not only Chelsea that sack managers. It's all these clubs. You get exceptions to the rule. And I was watching a video yesterday as well, and they were talking about how this was meant to be, because they were, they believed this is a project thing. They were like, we can't let this generation of Chelsea youth go like Charlie Colkett and Josh McEachran. And I was there thinking, hold on a second. I don't even know what Josh McEachran's doing right now. Charlie Colkett, I looked it up yesterday, he's playing at Östersunds in Sweden. If these players were really good enough, they wouldn't be banging out Östersunds. Kevin De Bruyne and Mo Salah were at the same youth that Charlie Colkett and Josh McEachran were, but you see the levels there and you see where these guys are. Sometimes, even though you love your youth players, they aren't good enough. Loftus-Cheek is a prime example of a guy who, Loftus-Cheek be great, of course, but the only problem with him is that he's not durable. He keeps getting injured. And sometimes you have to cut your losses. I know there's this attachment. I've been seeing him play for 10 odd years. That's cool. But when you're in a results-based business, you can't pick people based on sentiment. You've got to pick the best players in the team.
Do you think our youth isn't good enough?
I think our youth, some of our youth is really good. I do. But I don't think we should be relying on them. I've been saying it for weeks. Mason Mount should not be starting every single game. I look at the way Phil Foden is used. And he's far better than Mason Mount right now, because he's learning his trade, but he's not doing it week in, week out, because he doesn't want to Pep knows he can't burn him out. Jack Grealish is a prime example of a young player who was in the Premier League when he was 19, 20, 21 years old. It didn't work. Went to the Championship because he got relegated, learned what he's doing. He's come back now. He's a better player. James Maddison, cutting his trade at Coventry and Norwich City, coming into the Premier League. Now he's learned what he's doing, and he's 24, 25. He's now providing the end product that his team needs. This is my thing. Your youth is important to have, but relying on them it's not an option. Even these great youth clubs like Dortmund, they don't rely on their youth. They still have senior players. The only club I can really think of who are really focused on youth is Ajax. But when you're in a league where only 1 or 2 clubs can win the league, it's very easy to do that.
And you know what, bro? On that Ajax thing, right? Ajax and Dortmund to an extent, and a few of the other clubs, like the French teams as well, the Lyons. The reason you see so much youth getting opportunities at that level is their club's business model is based on develop great young players and sell them. That's it. When it comes to, that isn't what Chelsea are trying. Chelsea and Man United and teams like this, we have to balance the developing of youth players and winning titles. And you have to try and get that balance right. And it doesn't always come off for you. But this, look, I know what Chelsea fans wanted. They wanted to develop something that was romantic, and they wanted to be able to rub that in the face of the Man United fans and the Liverpool fans and the Arsenal fans that in the history of the clubs do have this kind of, oh, we won a team. And look, we had with Man United, we've had an academy player in our match day squad and our starting lineup for like 70 odd years. There's something beautiful about that. You know, we do have Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood that are going to be leading our line for another 7-8 years. And I know everybody wants one of their own doing it, because there is a romance in that. A kid who's with you from 8 years old that ends up being the leading. It's the stuff dreams are made of. But it doesn't happen that often. And I think Chelsea fans have just got to sit in their lane and say, do you know what? This is what we are as a football club. You're new. Do you know what it feels like? You know, sometimes you hear about like new money not being accepted in certain areas of society. Chelsea and new money. And do you know what it is? Yes, maybe the rich aristocrats in Hampstead Heath don't really like you because they don't really feel like you belong. But you're there, bruv. Do your thing. Own it. Be you. Like if I won millions of pounds, I'd move to a rich area, but I'm not going to start acting like a middle-class toff. I'm still going to be working class, eating pie and mash, bruv. But, you know what I mean? But I'm just going to be doing it in a £5,000 suit. But I'm going to own it, bruv. It's as simple as that. Chucky, go on, mate.
Hey, do you think there's a culture clash between the reality of Chelsea and recent social media boom of how clubs are approaching Twitter, Instagram and all that business? Because over the last 10 years, we've heard in the media over and over and over again how good the Chelsea youth setup is. We then see Lampard come in, get a job with no experience, which we've kind of touched on already. And then by all those players, it got lauded as amazing business before we've seen them play together. I spoke about it with other people. It was clearly not going to work straight away. If you got any bit of common sense, you can see that's going to happen. But do you think they've got pressure to show how good these youth players are and how good their setup is to say they're not doing it for bags, they're doing it for a reason? So there's a little bit of a culture clash between the new way of Chelsea doing things and the harsh reality of the result business which Roman Abramovich runs. What do you think of that? And furthermore, how many Chelsea fans wanted Lampard? That's another question.
I didn't want Lampard.
Yeah, not at the start, but when he was doing well and he was shouting at Jurgen Klopp on the touchline, I was there like, that's my manager. I'm not going to sit here and lie. At the start, I didn't want him, but when I saw man giving it the gas to Klopp, like stop giving it the finger, I was like, that's my manager. And you can go back and watch it because now I look like an absolute clown. But
I was win the league though with Lampard though. I thought we'll generally win the league after last season, because last season some of our performances were actually really good. So I thought this season with bare players will progress from that and actually win the league. Like when I saw this sign, I was like, yeah, Roman's doing his thing still. Like we can actually do something. Like so, I was thinking we'll actually like challenge for the league, and then this happens. Like it's just terrible to watch. Like, and then now he's sacked.
I think it's one of those things. Did I ever sit there in the last 10 years and think I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be my manager? When he was doing his bits at Mold, do you really think I wanted him as manager? No. But he comes in and you go, okay, I'll get behind you. I have had lots of moments where I'm like, nah, not the guy for me. He isn't delivering. And I openly admit that. But I also say, like, do you know what? I got that wrong, you know? Like, and I can look at that and be honest and be like, yeah, do you know what? I did get that element completely and utterly wrong, and I have to kind of to a degree I have to sort of own that. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I was wrong, but you just never know. And I think with some football fans, they lack kind of ability. I've really got Barry, you're breathing down your mic again. Sorry. I really think some football fans, I want to say integrity. I don't know if that's the right word, but they don't tell the truth. They say stuff and come out with things that just don't make sense to me. And I feel a bit like Lampard just needed to go. It wasn't going right. The dressing room had lost faith in him. They didn't want him there anymore. It's not even about his nationality anymore or about him being a legend. It's a simple fact that your season was dwindling away.
What's it, Terry? When again you look at the Athletic thing and it's like some players didn't even get talked to for weeks on end. You're just like, that's not how you manage people. You have to talk. I've brought this up. Marcus Alonso, one of the best wing backs you'll ever see. Put him at left back, he's awful. I completely agree. Don't play him at left back. I've got no problem with that. But after when the West Brom incident happened, where he basically gave away 2 goals, I understand you're not happy with him. But then to go in the dressing room at halftime, publicly call him out in front of everybody and berate him, then to come out after the game and say it's not my fault we drew this game, it's the player's fault, and then not talk to him for 3-4 weeks. Of course, he's like, you leave him no other option but to be upset.
Did this happen? Sorry. Did this happen? Did this actually happen?
This happened. And do you know what's mad?
What?
Whenever I hear this, I think Jose Mourinho. And guys, I've got to do a few super chats here. First one says, if the youth players deserve it and are good enough, they should be in the starting lineup. Why not give them a chance? Or eventually they're going to be sent out on loan again. Yeah, I mean, you've got so many players out. I swear you guys have got about 5,000 people out on loan.
Honestly, no, but the thing is, Terry, again, before you read the super chat, all I want to say about our youth players is that when we sell them, it's not they go and do anything. Literally, apart from De Bruyne and Salah, our youth aren't really doing much. You got Dominic Solanke, like was banging goals in our youth team. Went to Liverpool, didn't do anything. Went to Bournemouth, didn't do anything, and I don't even know where he is now. It's like our youth are out there banging.
I completely agree. Listen, CFCRS, thank you for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. We've got Alex on the line now. Alex,
there you go.
What do you want to say, brother, about everything that's being spoken about today?
Look, I think Chelsea fans in general were sold the dream, thinking, oh, our legend Frank Lampard has come to our club. And, you know, I idolize Frank Lampard, and I think he probably will be a good manager, but it's just, it was too early for him. And people thought, oh, we can finally become a club where we can bring the youth and sell this love dream together with the fans and Lampard. And it's just this whole, it's literally like, it's just, it was so obvious. Like, what did people think? Like, Abramovich wasn't going to change. He wasn't going to, like, the only reason why he brought him in was because there was no other manager to bring in. Like,
yeah, I think they had an experiment. I think it was more, they turned around and they said, you know what? Let's give him. He sold us a good idea. I'm sure there's a good relationship between Frank and between Roman. We'll give you a go. We'll give you an opportunity to come out here and do it. He sold us. You know, it's a bit like Roberto Martinez when he went to Everton. He was the only person that went in the interview room, and instead of saying, "This is how I'm going to keep you in the Premier League," he said, "This is how I'm going to get you in the Champions League." So they gave him an opportunity, but it didn't pan out, so he got sacked. This is the nature of the beast. Alex, thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries.
Top man, we're gonna jump through some more calls. Go on, mate. Go on, Chucks.
One quick question: Did Chelsea were Chelsea in the transfer ban when they took Lampard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he
was a stopgap then. We
did technically bring in Kovacic and Pulisic. So, you know, but yeah, transfer ban.
We got Jezza with us.
I think it was a stopgap.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Jezza, what do you want to say, mate?
Hi, Terry. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. What's on your mind?
Nah, this morning I woke up to a message from my baby brother. He was like, oh, you know, I did you hear the sad news? And I'm like, what sad news? Thinking that someone in my family died. And he's like, no, Frank got sacked. And I said, big man, listen, okay, I know, you know, you watch a lot of TV and a lot of YouTube, but don't quote me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, the last Chelsea manager to only last 2 years, wasn't it Jose in 06-07? In 2007?
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
2 years, yeah, second time round.
So ever since then, you know, everybody's lasted, 18 months, and that's just how it goes. You know, if you don't qualify for the Champions League or you don't win the Champions League, you get sacked. Like Terry said yesterday, it's a toy. It's a toy for Roman Abramovich. You know what I mean? It's a toy. So I don't know why everyone's in their feelings, but what I do wanted to say is the direction in which we want to go, especially when you guys were speaking about the young players. For me, I think Reece James, he just gives me, that Ivanovic feel, maybe not as nasty, but he's just as physical and stuff. So I'd like to see him stay. Mason, for obvious reasons, because even though I think there's been bad mismanagement of Mason Mount, because not only that, I saw on his Instagram that he got a mural on Fulham Road, and he hasn't done anything in the game. However, he is playing well. He is playing well and has been one of our best players this season. So I'd like to see him stay. But the rest of them, I just say good luck to them. Especially, I think we'll see what Tammy Abraham is made out of, because Drogba fought through it. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Listen, Jezza, thanks for
good players.
No, No, Tammy Abraham is championship baller. He's a championship
Thank
baller.
you, Jezza, for coming on, mate. We're going to do a couple more callers to follow the show through. We've got Dolls, CFC, another Chelsea fan. What you saying, mate?
Welcome on, Terry. So, obviously, this whole Lampard thing, I hear loads of people getting vexed over it. I hear Rory Jennings yesterday saying, "Oh, you're not a Chelsea man if you don't back Lampard," and all this. And all this shit. Let me explain to you the reality is. Ultimately, football is a result-based business. If you're not a winner, then just get in the bin, man. There's no two ways about it. And the reality is, Lampard, listen, I love Lampard. I'm 19 years old. I've seen Lampard play. He's basically one of the first players I watched. And, I come from a long line of Liverpool fans. So, my dad, big Gerrard fan as well. So it was always like, nah, Gerrard Lampard and shit. So it hurt for me to, turn on Lampard. But at the end of the day, if we're going to be cutthroat, if we're going to be successful, then we have to just get rid of him. Sorry.
Bro, listen, I absolutely agree with you, bruv. Great impersonation as well. It really is. I agree with what you're saying there. Next up on the show, we're going to have PSG fan here. Welcome to the show. What do you want to say?
Good day, guys. Good day, Terry.
Good day.
Yes, PSG supporter. I just wanted to, give maybe my opinion on Tuchel, considering that he is, going to become the new manager for Chelsea. The thing with Tuchel, from a PSG fan's perspective, would be the only doubt for me would be his leadership qualities. Granted, he was in a very star-struck dressing room in PSG. He never really seemed like the leader of the dressing room or the leader on the field. He definitely had issues with man management. And he is not that good when it comes to handling pressure. Whenever he has been in a pressure situation, it has not really gone all the way. So that is one thing that I would be a little concerned if I was a Chelsea fan, how he is going to handle the players in the dressing room. Now, as for Frank Lampard, as much as he is a legend of the club and all of that, the moment he took on the managerial career, or when he decided to do so, he should have done it with the acceptance that him being a player is different to him being a manager, and he is going to be treated as a manager. If he had gone into that career with any form of comfort, thinking that that will serve him well if and when he becomes the manager of Chelsea, I'm sorry, but that is on him, and that is on the fans, because you have to treat the manager like a manager. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I would say the same about Pochettino. Now that he is our manager, I'm going to only see him as a manager. So, these are just my thoughts.
Listen, bro, great thoughts, great views. You've actually watched the man play and manage, and I think there's some food for thought there for the Chelsea fans around.
Yeah,
what
for real.
The thing is though,
I haven't heard a single Chelsea fan kind of say he's the finished article. We're going to win the Premier League next year. There's definitely question marks. That's why I'm quite excited. If I sit as a neutral for a minute, I'm excited because I'm really intrigued to see how he does in the Premier League. If that makes sense, David. Do you have any concerns about him at all, David?
A little bit because of the players we have. Again, it's like we don't actually have a DM. That is like a massive problem in our squad. We have Kante, that's cool, but Kante's not a DM where he's on his ones. Like he just covered. That's not Kante. He needs to be next to someone. We don't really have that player. I mean, we have Kovacic, but Kovacic hasn't really been playing this season. But again, I said it yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Christensen move into a DM or something like that. Because the thing is with Tuchel is that he tends to, like, if he has a hole in his squad, he doesn't really go out and find that player unless the board give it to him. He'll make the solution. Like other people know that I'm a big Dortmund, not like a fan, but I follow Dortmund quite a lot. Terry's face, and we signed Rafa Guerreiro, who was a left mid, and when he was with Tuchel, he moved into centre mid, moved into left back, and he was doing the job that he wanted to do because he had the attributes. So
you will notice something David just said there. He said "we" when talking about Dortmund. This guy is a cheater. We've got man like AJ here, Spurs fan. Give me your thoughts on Lampard being sacked, and these people coming out and claiming it's because he's a white British guy and he's a proud. That line doesn't got me proud white British guy. Okay, cool.
Oh, cool. Frank Lampard. He made it too difficult for himself because the players out of position, the mismanagement of players. I'm going to use Mason Mount as an example. David, if you think I'm waffling, just interrupt me at any point. But I think the way David screws over Mason Mount, I used to do it quite a bit, and then I realized I have to sympathize with him a little bit because Frank Lampard. I remember there was a period he was playing him on the left wing, and that's where majority of Mason Mount's performances were, and everyone was just screwing over him. And when Lampard kept playing him, I was like, you can no longer blame Mason Mount because he's not a winger. And then when he put him in the 8 and he started playing well, but then Mason Mount kept playing every game. The man's tired. You can't keep playing him. So I think when David screws over him, it's like 70% Lampard's fault and probably 30% Mason Mount. I think that's why David screws over.
No, but again, I don't dislike Mason Mount as like the player. I just dislike Mason Mount as the concept in Chelsea when Lampard was in charge, because it was like you see all these other youth players, and they would have good performances, bad performances. Once they had that one bad performance, straight out of the team, they were gone.
Yeah,
and again, the whole concept of Mason Mount was this kid is undroppable. And when players look in the squad and go, what I've put in performance is better than this kid. And I'm not getting, and Lampard's holding his shoulder and talking to him every day. I want that same affection because I'm also a young player and I want to progress my game like you're progressing his. And when I was saying like he's built a system around Mason, and I've got if you're going to build it, I don't think it's the right idea. But if you're going to do that, that's cool. But you should build a system around Mason, but you should also build that system so not only do you get the best out of Mason, but you get the best out of everybody else. Our systems when we had the past managers, just get the best out of Eden Hazard. But you couldn't get the best out of Eden Hazard, didn't get the best out of Costa, didn't get the best out of Fabregas, didn't get the best out of Terry in defence. You couldn't do that, getting the best out of Aspi at right back. You couldn't do that because Hazard is not good enough to carry your whole squad. The only 2 players I've ever watched, Messi and Ronaldo, are good enough where you can just build a system around them and say, let them do and you guys just help. They're the only 2 players I've ever seen that.
And even then, Barcelona, since losing Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets not being at the same potent level, it's almost as if you're saying, David, this is a team sport.
Yeah, it is a team. Of course, it's not basketball. It's not basketball where like you could just have LeBron James in your team and he will carry you. Like it can't do that.
Basketball. Look, I played it at school, but with basketball again, there is an element of team within it. But at the same time, like if you put Messi and Ronaldo in a team, 2 of them, versus 11 good Sunday League players, 11 good Sunday League players win the game. And give them a goalie as well, right? The 11 good Sunday League players would beat them because you pass it around them. If you put the two best basketball players on a court against 5 good basketball players, I think the 2 could beat them. I think they could work a way to do it. Like I think there's a difference in the sport. Maybe I'm being a bit over the top. Maybe you need more than 2, but maybe
I hear what you mean, though.
If you had LeBron James and Kevin Durant, two really good basketball players, and then filled the rest of the position with us, right? And then you had the rest were NBA players. We could win that game because all we'd have to do is just go, take it and do your thing. That's a better example. That's a better example than mine. But like, I kind of feel like, they can carry certain sports. You can be carried, if that makes sense, by having people that are just out better. But in football, even if you've got the best player in the world in your team, there needs to be quality around. It's the way it's just important. Like certain team sports are like that, and I just sort of feel a little bit like it's kind of disrespected in that way so much in football. Like people don't take into consideration. But listen, AJ, thank you very much for coming on and having your say, bro. I actually don't watch much basketball. I watch a bit of American. Why? I don't, bruv. Do you know what it is? People always said, don't you like him? I don't know where people get the time to watch so much sport. Who are we going to have on next? We're going to get Meds on the show next. Meds, welcome. What do you want to say, bro?
Morning, boys. No, I just want to go back to the whole Lampard first year. Because I think like there's quite a deception amongst people in terms of what he actually achieved in the first year. I think he gets a lot of credit, but I actually feel we were playing reminiscence of, it was just like recycled Sarri football and a little bit of Conte as well. We saw, games where Lampard literally kept Kante exactly how Sarri was playing him. Both games against Liverpool at the first half of the season, when Kante was practically man of a match playing in that kind of roaming position. That's including the Super Cup. Also, we went to City, dominated possession at Manchester City. That's unheard of. With Kante again playing in that position, he scored a goal from that. And then we've also seen when it hadn't worked with Emerson, he kind of switched to Alonso again to play that 3 at the back system that Conte was playing. So the point I'm trying to make is a lot of this tactics that is credited to Lampard, I don't think is fully credited to Lampard, like the media, some sections of the fan base are making it out to be. And we saw it kind of unravel as that season went along in the first season, with a lot of the muscle memory kind of losing. And we came back after the lockdown period, and our football was trash. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I remember us playing like a stellar 1-0 win to Norwich at home, who had been relegated by then. And God, we struggled to go past them. Do you know what I mean? West Ham, I'm not even going to bring that up, or Sheffield, but I remember even playing away to Crystal Palace, where it was we relied on Christian Pulisic to do something at the bag, and we were kind of parking the bus to Crystal Palace. And then on top of that, we had that. Even when we were beating City, I thought that was a park the bus. It kind of moved away from what he was doing at the start of the season. So this whole like expansive football that he plays, I think is kind of a myth, and it kind of unraveled in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I get. I
think since.
Sorry, go on, man. Finish point. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just said I think it unraveled in the second half of last season. So when it came to starting the new season, I thought, okay, maybe the new players he can rely on the new players to bail him out a bit. But when that didn't work, and obviously the profile of the young players that we were signing were quite young, the writing was telling. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, just because he's Lampard and he's a legend, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be this great manager. We've seen it with like Giggs or like Shearer at Newcastle, Thierry Henry.
Well, do you know
necessarily mean going to be manager?
And you make a great point there with Thierry Henry. When Thierry Henry did that thing to that young player about tuck your chair in, my first thought was, in the modern day game, that kind of behavior just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't wash like the. Do you know what it is? Like, you could embarrass a player before. Like, if a manager in a press conference or in an after game interview said something about a player, it might have got in the newspapers, but then the day after that, it's not there anymore. Now, like, you get memed now. So you're a player and you get blasted or someone's like, it transcends for days, and then you get like a group of fans that hold on to it and it doesn't go away. Like, if social media didn't exist, there wouldn't be these agendas because you couldn't make them catch fire. Do you get what I mean? Like, if you and your group of mates called Rashford Trashford, that wouldn't trend. It would just be you and your mates say it, and then that's kind of it, right? Now it's like one person says it, the rivals jump up. I think the same thing works in reverse with the managers. Lampard got it wrong. I think the reason that you started to fade last season is because he started mistreating people. He started, and what you've always got to remember is this, and it's one of the reasons why United fans are so keen for us to get the Lingards and the Sergio Romero's moved, not because of the money as such. It was because they've got friends in the first team. And if they see Man United just allowing players to rot in the reserves, not play, become depressed and frustrated and angry, that will impact how the first team play. Because at the end of the day, you fans that might not like Alonso, but I bet you 95% of that team loves him.
He's definitely got sway.
Yeah, so if you're mistreating him, his friends are going to be like, "You're taking the piss, bruv." Like, I've had it in my job before where I had a member of staff who's a bastard, but you got to handle it in the right way because they still have friends within your workforce. And if you start being too over the top, too aggressive, too nasty, you lose the rest of the people. And Lampard, for me, it's his leadership he got wrong. I'm not tactically, okay, cool, a little naive, but it's his leadership. He went in there, and I think he was actually trying to act like, I'm Lampard. When I was a player here, me and John Terry rule this roost, bruv. You know what I mean? It's done now. Like, it's like an old school gangster turning back up, thinking he can run the manor like 30 years ago. It's like, no, bruv, we've moved. The dressing room's moved on. Get your hand off the iPad. You ain't playing the music in here anymore, brother. Do you know what I mean? Take John Terry and his hair gel and get out of here. That's basically what they said to him. It's
Yeah,
simple as
Jerry, when you look at the Athletic Arsenal, you go through the alleged players that had come out and gone above him. Of course, they've got massive sway. Alonso and Kepa, right? Regardless how good they are, you can tell they've got sway. Rudiger, we in the summer, everyone was talking about how he basically helped us sign Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. So yeah, he's obviously got sway in there. Kovacic was player of the season last year. Jorginho, when Sarri came in, everyone was talking about how he's basically the captain on the field. Of course, these guys have got sway in the team. You don't alienate those players. You don't, because regardless of how good you think they are, there's a way you deal with that. None of us are sat here saying, "Oh, Alonso and Kepa should be playing." But as I said before, Alonso, you can't berate him in front of everyone.
And how you handle things is important, because I say this sometimes before, like, it's the way a player will look at it is, I don't want players being treated. So one, Alonso is my friend, but also, what if I'm next? It's very easy to sit on the sidelines and be be very liberal about things and be a little bit of a moderate and I don't want to cause any trouble. But what about when that terrible behavior flip reverses and comes at you? I always say this: you might see someone you dislike get mistreated and go, yeah, I'm going to celebrate it. The fact that he was mistreated or whatnot, because I don't like that person. You need to be very careful with those kind of precedents that you set in life, whether it's a manager, whether it's the way a football manager treats a player, whether it's how we treat some political idiot that we don't like. Is at some point those bending of the rules could come back and bite you in the ass. So you'll always tend to find people will fight for what's right from a morality point of view and an integrity element more than anything else. Because if the morality and the integrity is right in a way in which you lead a team of people, you'll invariably yield results. And even if you don't, you can part amicably and it's easy. You can kind of tell, like I read yesterday as well, that Lampard didn't even come in the afternoon to shake hands and say bye to his teammates. Like, he clearly texted Mason or did a FaceTime with Mason. And listen, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years it's revealed in the book that Mason and Lampard have been having an affair. Like, I see some of the stuff, it's not even nepotism.
Terry, after the game, when after the captaincy thing, and they've come out and been like, "Oh, I left it on his shirt," and he clocked it, and I went over to him and gave him a little chat, and I'm like, "Bro, you don't have this energy to be your own wife. What's going on?"
She's like that, Frank, you know what I mean? What are you doing? Frank, what are you doing? It's just a madness, bruv. Like, it's crazy. I imagine a divorce comes out, Mason leaves his missus, and then in 3 years, we're witnessing the first same-sex football wedding marriage in Hello Magazine. Frank Lampard and Mason Mount. I wouldn't be, honestly, like, it's one of them things where I'll be like, wow, but then my mind within a second would go, but I'm not surprised. Yeah, a bit like ranting about a bit like some of these Chelsea fans are ranting like proud British, and you're sort of like, yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. It's just, I've heard it for years without you saying it. It's been in the undertone. I've got a friend who's a Chelsea fan, and he is the most, like them people that are so far left wing. You're like, what are you hiding? What are you hiding behind that left wing propaganda book, bro? Like, I swear there's something you're not letting out. And then it takes one little thing to trigger him, and then it's just like, oh, Toby, come straight at me, people. The only thing we haven't had in these videos is the Tommy Robinson chant. Do you know what I mean? Just, it should be lightly playing in the back. I don't know why. He got sacked because he's British. Oh, bro, what, like these people taking our jobs and taking our council houses and all that? No, that's what it feels like when you hear it. Remember that guy on Question Time? He was like, I'm homeless and I can't get a job, and he's all like rough looking, and the crowd's like, oh, it's sad, and the woman's like, why can't he get a job? And he's like, because of all these foreigners, right? And the room goes at him, right, and kicks off at him. And he's like, oh, I'm telling the truth. But and then goes, anyway, I'm going to have to leave now. And they knew why he was leaving, because he got absolutely destroyed by the audience. But, oh, why are you leaving? And he's like, because I've got nowhere to live, and I've basically got to find a bridge to sleep under. And because he was a racist, everyone practically cheered. And I was sort of like, see, it ain't about that. Like, of course, some people, and I've spoke about this, there is an agenda. I do see the agenda on social media towards English and British players. Like, there's no need to mention Rashford's passport when you're criticizing him, and I kind of get that. But you can't take it as far as Lampard lost his job because he's English, bro. Like, for me, that would only be a fair comment if his win ratios and his performances were up there with the Ancelottis and the Joses, and they got rid of him anyway. Like what you know, when it comes to West Brom getting rid of
Slaven Bilic.
No, not Bilic.
Darren Moore.
Darren Moore. That's one of those moments where you can say, that's a bit strange, right? Because he was doing well, right? Lampard ain't doing well, bruv. Like he ain't doing well. I don't get it, man. And especially when it's, again, if this was the first time Roman got rid of a manager quickly, then maybe you've got a point. But nothing, it's a madness, bruv. It's sorry. It's mad.
And another thing is,
where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? Where's all this because it's British come from?
They weren't talking.
It's the media.
When Di Matteo and Jose were winning titles, they weren't talking about but they're foreigners. They weren't doing it then, but now it's come back to bite one of their own. It's different.
Yeah.
And like we've already established on the show before we end today, in the last 10 years in the Premier League, managing top 6 clubs, we've had 1 Chilean, 1 German, 1 Argentinian, 2 Portuguese, 2 Spanish, 1 French, 4 Italians, 7 Brits, right? So
1 Norwegian. Ole, ole, ole.
One Norwegian.
I mean, Terry, technically it is 2 Germans as well, technically.
Why?
Tuchel and Klopp.
Okay, well, Tuchel hasn't officially been appointed yet, so I'll even throw that in. I'll throw the German Norwegian in. Right, so what we have here, right? You've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you've had 15 foreign managers versus 7. So you got to there's been half the managers in the last 10 years, just under half the managers in the last 10 years managing top 6 clubs have been British, right? And the other half are split between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nations that go across 2 different continents. It's just a false narrative.
Let's not even throw in Leicester, who we could say is top 6, because then you're adding in like Craig Shakespeare on top of that as well. So
if you throw Leicester into that,
you know that's the point there.
You
caretaker managers, people who take over, always British.
And the irony in that is at Leicester, you know, they've had 2 or 3 Brits in that time have done well for them. Well, 2 Brits have done well for them in Brendan Rodgers and who was before Ranieri?
Craig Shakespeare.
Nigel Pearson, right? They did well. But it was still the jolly old foreigner that won in the league. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you throw that in and just go from Ancelotti's appointment forward, that's 2 more Brits that have been given opportunities, if that makes sense. And Brendan Rodgers is included in that because he was also at Liverpool. So Brendan Rodgers has been given 2 opportunities at clubs that are in and around that top 6 area. So it's just a nonsense. They don't get chances. Everton, I swear Everton have had a Brits in charge. They have. Allardyce and Moyes. Moyes in the last 10 years. Like, they get opportunities, the British managers, but you got to show something. Very few of the foreign managers have cut. How many foreign managers have we brought in who are top players at Real Madrid or Barcelona that have had no managerial experience that just get top jobs?
0.
Exactly. So why do we think Lampard can just do it, or Gerrard can just do it, or Rooney can do it just because we love watching? It's just fucking stupid. It's proper dumb, bro. Like proper thick. Even I'm not saying thick, right? Because I'm a dumb cockney. It is thickos. Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. Thickos, bro. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today, thank you. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. If you're English, be very careful because they're after your jobs. Oh my God. Absolutely not. I've never heard more bollocks in my life.
Taking jobs that they don't have.
Yeah, bruv, this has been going on in this country for so long, right? I always remember being a kid. I don't know, it was like a question time show, and there was a guy on there screaming about how like people for years have been coming to the UK and taking our jobs. And I'm like, Dad, what does he mean? My dad, I can see my dad like the anger, like contorting his body. He's like, these British people make me sick. I'm like, what do you mean, Dad? It's like, you do realize that half the reason that we went around the world in the 50s, 60s, 70s and practically begged people to move from the Caribbean, from parts of Africa, parts of the continent of Africa, parts of Southeast Asia to the UK, is because there was loads of jobs that we needed filling that British people didn't want to do. And you know, you're like, and then I was like, really? Like, because again, I didn't know. I'm 10 years old. How do I know this? And I was like, yeah, because that's the annoying bit. It's like people come here to do that's on a working class scale. And that was like my moment where I was like, oh, I can't listen to this nonsense, bro. I worked in East London for years, and my colleagues are from all different parts of the world, and I just see everyone working hard. Like one of my good friends, Ivona, Polish lady, her and her family moved here. I don't know, that was 2007. I started working with her. They've been in the UK 4 or 5 years. And I just remember her talking about how much she misses Poland, but how she wanted the opportunity to better her life. And I'm like, see, that's what I love about my country. That was like the thing for me as a kid is, so people come to my country to help better. Like, why are we not proud of that? Why does it make you angry that people choose your country to better themselves in? That for me is the best thing about my country. Ain't the weather or the food, bruv. Like, I mean, that's the good thing. And I get so annoyed by it. And I've now seen it creep into football so much where it's like, oh, the English don't get a chance. Or so what? Like, if you're good enough, you'll get the chance. If you ain't, you won't. Period. Terry, are you English or British? I'm British when it comes to the Olympics, and I'm English when it comes to football. That's how I break it down, bro. I don't really think about it too much, really, if I'm being honest. But there we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Smash the like and share buttons. Someone's probably going to clip the bit up of me saying, "Look out, if you're English, they're going to take you." They're going to clip that one little. Let them, bro. Listen, let them. Everyone knows what I am and what I'm about. Listen, until next time, take care. God bless. We're back at 5 p.m. We've got some serious guests on. Some serious guests on at 5 p.m. today for the big podcast, and we're covering Southampton Arsenal this evening as well. That's gonna be a nice jazzy game. Can't wait for it. Take care. Goodbye.